Greetings, welcome to Facts About Everything. I'm your host James Egan, and today we'll be looking at the 40th American President, Ronald Reagan. Many people know that Ronald Reagan was originally an actor. He had 80 credits on his acting CV. His movie debut was Love is on the Air in 1937 when he was 26. He was paid $200 per week. His last movie was The Killers in 1964. Some reports incorrectly say that he was supposed to play the main character in the movie Casablanca. There is an excerpt from his diary dated October 17, 1984. Little Drew Barrymore, the child from E.T., was one of the children I met. She was a nice little person. She was. In 1987, he submitted the first trillion-dollar budget request. John Hinckley Jr. fired 6 shots at Ronald Reagan on March 30th, 1981. In 3 seconds, the 6 shots hit 4 people, including Reagan. Luckily, the bullet didn't hit him directly. It ricocheted off a limo door and grazed Reagan's rib. Remarkably, Hinckley didn't kill anyone. His gun was full of Devastator bullets, which were supposed to explode on impact, so it was lucky that they did not. Hinckley was inspired to kill the president after he saw the movie Taxi Driver. The movie starred Jodie Foster and Robert De Niro. Hinckley was in love with Jodie Foster, and he believed that if he tried to kill a political figure like De Niro's character in the movie, he would win her over. He didn't. Reagan was released from hospital on April the 11th, 1981, which was less than 2 weeks after his assassination attempt. On July 13th, 1985, Reagan had a cancerous growth removed from his colon. For Christmas 1983, the First Lady, Nancy Reagan, unveiled the White House Christmas decorations with Santa Claus, who was played by Mr. T. Goes without saying, but it was the greatest performance of Mr. T's career. Apart from when he... No, it was the best performance of his career. Reagan was known as the Gipper, after he played George Gipp in the film New Rocknell American. He was also known as the Great Communicator, Dutch, and the Teflon President. He used to be a lifeguard. In Back to the Future, Doc says to Marty,
"Who's President of the United States in 1985? Ronald Reagan. Ronald Reagan? The actor? Then who's Vice President? Jerry Lewis?"
The makers of the movie had to be very specific how to word this dialogue to avoid insulting the president. Reagan enjoyed the scene. In fact, he nearly had a cameo in Back to the Future 3. He was very good friends with Rock Hudson, who died in 1985 due to AIDS. This urged Reagan to provide funds for AIDS research. He and his wife, Nancy, were passionately into astrology. When he was a governor-elect in California, he had his oath of office scheduled at exactly 12:10 a.m. due to what he believed to be an important star alignment. Nancy went to see an astrologist called Joan Quigley after Ronald was shot. Quigley's decision decided where Air Force One would take off and where it would land. Her star charts even dictated when Reagan's public speaking would take place. Reagan's dogs were called Fuzzy, Victory, and Rex. He was a sports announcer between 1932 to 1937. He served in the Army between 1942 to 1945. In the Army, he made Army training films for Hal Roach Studios. Reagan is the first president not to fall into the zero factor. Before Reagan, every president elected in a year ending in 0, beginning in 1840, had died during their presidency. He was the president of the Screen Actors Guild between 1947 to 1952, and again in 1959 to 1960. He became the governor of California between 1967 to 1975. When he was elected president, the top marital tax rate was 70%. When his presidency ended, it was 28%. He was turned down for combat duty during World War II due to his poor eyesight. He was the first president since Eisenhower to serve 2 full terms. There is a misconception that Reagan loved jelly beans. This idea comes from the fact that he had them everywhere in the White House, but Reagan was not a fan of them. He only ate them to stop himself from smoking. He appointed Sandra Day O'Connor as the first female Supreme Court Justice. Reagan used to be a stand-up comedian. Reagan did something that everyone should be eternally thankful for. He publicized GPS technology. GPS was supposed to be only used for military purposes. Reagan famously said, "Tear down this wall," in a speech in 1987 referencing the Berlin Wall. In 1989, the Berlin Wall was torn in 2. Reagan had a 3-ton graffiti-covered section of the Berlin Wall in his library. It was given to him by the people of Berlin. On January 13th, 1993, he was awarded the Presidential Medal of Freedom. He was heavily responsible for nuclear arms reduction and had 4 summits with Soviet leader Mikhail Gorbachev. He was offered a cameo on The Simpsons. He politely declined. His last public appearance was at Nixon's funeral. He was knighted by Queen Elizabeth II in June 1989. His favorite movie was High Noon. He was the first president to wear contact lenses. Before Trump was elected, Reagan was the oldest person to be elected as President of America. He was inaugurated 2 weeks before his 70th birthday. He loved golf and would play with Bob Hope and Kevin Costner. He claimed he had a photographic memory. On November the 5th, 1994, he announced that he had Alzheimer's disease. Because of his Alzheimer's, his wife Nancy didn't want to upset Ronald when their daughter died. Ronald Reagan never knew his daughter passed away. He was 93 when he died. Reagan died from pneumonia after complications from Alzheimer's disease. He is the first American president to die in the 21st century. Special thanks to these fine people for all their help. Be sure to subscribe to Facts About Everything. Follow me on Twitter for updates on upcoming videos. Check out my Facebook page to let me know what subjects you want me to talk about in the future. Thanks for watching. See you again.